Well, to discuss the legacy of Mama Zondeni Veronica Sobukwe and the role she played during and after the formation of the PAC, together with her late husband, Robert Sobukwe, we're joined in studio by PAC President Narius Moloto, also joined by the chairwoman for the Pan-Africanist Women Organization, Mama Mankoko Molete. And on the phone line, we're joined by the African-centered historian and executive member of the Black House Collective Works, who works closely with the Sobukwe family and the Robert Mangaliso Sobukwe Trust, Thando Sipuye. A very good evening to you all, and thank you very much for joining us.
Evening to you and to the viewers down there.
Let me start with you, Mama Molete. Just talk to us about your experience of Mama Sobukwe.
First of all, I'd like to correct my surname. It's not Molete, it's Molete.
Molete. Thank you, Mama.
Molete.
Thank you, Mama.
My experience of working with Mama Sobukwe is that of working with the mother of Azania. Mama Zondeni was the mother of Azania. She was a true epitome of an African woman. You know, when the struggle started, the strategy was that the men must go out, go there, and be arrested. But the women have to be there to keep the home fires burning and to keep the flame of the struggle burning, because they were the ones that were responsible for teaching the children about the struggle, what we as African people face, the struggles we face in our daily lives, and how to go about to face our daily lives.
Mm-hmm.
So when you look and reflect on such people, people like Mama Sobukwe, you think about such. These were women who were not afraid to be women. They were not fighting their role of being women. If I'm to put it in Setswana. Nebasalo an simudimo gore tlhang a ba dirile ba mme. Ba ne ba itse gore mmangwana o tshwara thipa ka mo bogale. The nation is a nation because of a woman.
And Mr. Moloto, then let's speak about her role in the PAC, not only during the struggle period, but even post, democracy times. She still had an impact within the party. What role did she play?
Yes, first and foremost, we are saddened by her passing, but we did have an opportunity to meet with her and spend a day with her recently. And we were very inspired by her memory. She still remembers very well Alexandra, Soweto, and all the places that she went there. But here we are talking of a pillar of strength to the late President, Robert Mangaliso Sobukwe. She was a leader in her own right from the days when she was the leader of the nurses in that particular college. So she met Robert Mangaliso Sobukwe in that environment. And since then, throughout the tribulations, she remained very firm, strong through the difficulties. Now, it is that difficulties and great perseverance that continue to inspire us and continue to propel us to the new heights. Now, it is the inspiration that in interaction with her, we continued to get. And the last time we were with her, as the leadership, I led the leadership of the PAC. We spent a full day on Mother's Day, sharing. She was loving. She was very, very happy to be with the leadership. But she kept on saying one thing, that Lizom Vala Lisa, all the time. And we said, no, we are not here for that. So she was really inspiring. And she was, despite the fact that she was becoming more weaker and weaker physically, but spiritually and mentally, she remained very strong. So she participated throughout. Her role was never kept out and highlighted, particularly by the media. She's hardly known, but the role she has played is immense. And what she went through during the struggle and even after the struggle, because we still believe as the PAC, she was not accorded what the status and the honor she deserved throughout, given what she went through. Now, today we see people thinking that this freedom, it is just fallen from heaven. It came on its own. There are those people like Mama Veronica Sobukwe who contributed with their lives and with everything.
Well, let's just also hear from Thando Sipuye. Good evening to you, Thando. Thank you for joining us. How would you describe who Mama Sobukwe is?
Good evening, and thank you so much for this opportunity. Indeed, I would first start by saying the great African baobab tree has fallen. And I extend my deepest condolences to both the Sobukwe and the Mate families, as Mama Sobukwe has now transcended and joined the realm of the ancestors. I would like to pay my special condolences to her children, her grandchildren, her great-grandchildren, as well as her friends and colleagues in the Pan-Africanist Congress of Azania. And I certainly think that I would also like to take this opportunity to speak on Mama Zondeni Veronica Sobukwe and say that she was one of the most defiant and fearless icons of the struggle against racism, white supremacy in our country. And she fought valiantly and silently and steadily against the apartheid state apparatus. And indeed, she epitomized the dictum of the Pan-Africanist Congress of Azania, which says, serve, suffer, and sacrifice. Mama Zondeni Veronica Sobukwe was born of farming parents, Kate Mate and Stini Mate in Vryheid in KwaZulu-Natal. And indeed, as Mr. Narius Moloto has stated, she had her first experiences and encounters and direct confrontations with racism and the apartheid state and police at a very early age. And consistently throughout her life, she has been challenging ruthless authority and calling for justice on numerous occasions throughout her life. And I do know that one prominent story around her activism is the story around her leadership of the nurses' strike at Victoria Hospital. But further than that, Mama Sobukwe was also, although this is largely not told, but she was one of the founding members within the Pan-Africanist Congress of Azania. And her younger sister, I think this is an important point to also mention, was a woman called Florence Ribeiro. Florence Ribeiro was married to Dr. Fabian Ribeiro. And Dr. Fabian Ribeiro and Florence Ribeiro were assassinated in the 1980s for their activism, using their nursing and medical profession, assisting black people in the township who were, injured by the security forces. And both Fabian Ribeiro and Florence Ribeiro were very supportive of Mama Sobukwe. They went to Robben Island with her a number of times, visiting Sobukwe when he was incarcerated under the draconian Sobukwe clause. They got married on June the 6th in 1954, and they had 4 children, Umiliswa Sobukwe, Udinilesizwe Sobukwe, and the twins, Udalinjebo and Didanizizwe Sobukwe. And I think also it's important that I state that even during the time of the Sharpeville Langa massacre, Mama Sobukwe was well prepared for the consequences of the PAC's positive action campaign against the past laws, and with dignity and with a head raised high, she was willing to suffer in humility and sacrifice her life for the restoration of African dignity, for the return of the land to the indigenous people, and for the vision of a liberated Azania. So this is what I would say about this indomitable woman, an ordinary woman, a grandmother, what we would call in Xhosa, isikhukukazi, who housed a number of liberation struggle stalwarts of the Pan-Africanist Congress of Azania and during the apartheid times, as well as even in the post so-called apartheid time. a number of incarcerated APLA prisoners. Today, Mama Sobukwe has consistently raised and spoken on their plight, although largely silenced on the margin.
Well, just coming back to studio, that's actually quite a lot of a bit of background and history into what she did. Molete, in terms of celebrating her while she was still alive, I mean, Mr. Narius actually mentioned that he doesn't feel that enough was done to honor her. What should have been done? And now that she's passed on, what more can be done?
You know, what should have been done, first of all, is this. Mama Sobukwe was staying in Karafreinet. We were unfortunately, she passed away when we, the women in the PAC, were in the process of getting somebody, an elderly person, to go and stay with her. Because, you know, in old age, generally what really makes them more ill is when they don't have companionship. So we had gotten a woman to go and stay with her, who would be her companion, and then we would be paying on a monthly basis. And we were trying to push the Department of Military Veterans to actually also take up part of that bill. And unfortunately, before this could be actualized, she passed on. And we were also planning on going to spend a weekend with her to celebrate. And you know that she turned 91.
Yes.
At the end of July. So we wanted to spend that day with her in honor of her 91 years and to show that the PAC does care for its elderly.
Well,
you know, we could have done more. We could have pushed more. But it's never too late for those that are still remaining. This is a program that the women in the PAC are now busy working on, that we take care of our elderly.
And what more can be done then within the women of the PAC to actually, you know, let her legacy live on and some of the values that she stood for and taught in the Women's League of the PAC?
Is to pass on the legacy to our younger women. Our younger, you know, the moral fiber of society is now really, really messed up. Now we need to start teaching our children the lessons that we learned culturally and otherwise that we learned from these women. Like I said when I started to say that was a woman. Putting it in Setswana, she was proud to be a woman. As we say, you know, normally, it is the women that make up the home. It is the women that are the backbone of society. But nowadays, when you look at what is happening, women have forgotten their role. They are now chasing after what, I don't know, I would call them shadows, because they believe, some of them believe that they are fighting to be equal to men. You cannot be equal when you are not the same. We are made differently. The only thing is for us to be able to use the gifts that God has given us more effectively.
Be the best of you.
Be the best of you.
So, Mr. Moloto, what then should be done, not only by the PAC now that she's passed on, but also by government, the ruling government, to honor her memory, to honor her?
Yes, we are celebrating her life. We draw inspiration. There are few women of her caliber, and we will continue to reflect on her life from now on, and probably also teach the young people that you can only go far by starting from where you are and begin to know what you want. I mean, these are people who inspired us, that don't focus on what others are doing. Focus on your program, know your goal, strive and remain there. But insofar as the role of the government, we have written to the presidency this morning. They've responded quite positively. We are requesting that she be buried, given a special funeral by the government, and there's positive response so far. I think it's being considered. Obviously, the cost will be high, We had also an opportunity to visit. She has already had the grave next to the husband is done. So I don't think that we are talking of many things in that regard. So what we are talking is that how do we remembering her starting now until the day of the funeral.
Yes, Mama.
Another thing that I'm thinking about is that we also, because she was a trained nurse.
Yes.
Now you look at the profession, the nursing profession as it is today, and the nursing profession as it was when she started being a nurse, when it was a calling, it was not just a job. We need to start training our children to start looking at these professions as callings, not as just jobs, because the services that we are getting from the current crop of nurses is not the same as the one that we got from the crop of her time. Now we need to start naming one of the hospitals after her and start training our children in the basic way that they were trained. Let them view it as a calling, not just as a job.
Perhaps even naming a certain scholarship after her
And
for people that
even
want to
having
study nursing.
Even have a scholarship to that effect.
Yes. Now, Thando, how do you think that Mama should be remembered?
Certainly I do think that the passing of Mama Sobukwe is an indictment on the conscience of really a heartless nation that had relegated Mama into obscurity and non-existence in her life. And I do feel certainly any honors that come now, particularly from those in leadership and in the state, that they bestow on Mama Sobukwe right now would be opportunistic and artificial and empty gestures. And see why. Earlier this year, the Black House Collective, a civil society organization in Soweto, wrote a letter and nominated Mama Sobukwe to receive the highest order in the country, recognizing her for her contributions. And this was following a tribute lecture, an inaugural tribute lecture that had been organized last year. And actually, one had been planned for this year as well on the 7th of September at the Valley University of Technology. The government, instead of giving Mama Sobukwe the highest honor in the nation, they awarded her the Order of Luthuli in silver. This was through the efforts of a civil society organization and young people who called on our government to recognize Mama Sobukwe. So it was not a gesture coming from the government. I do think we need to state that. Furthermore, through the efforts of the Black House Collective, working in partnership with the Sobukwe family and the Sobukwe Trust, the Valley University of Technology was also preparing to confer an honorary doctorate on Mama Sobukwe on the 8th of September this year. And in fact, the Valley University of Technology has signed a memorandum of understanding with the Sobukwe Trust, and they will be instituting a Robert and Veronica Sobukwe Nursing Scholarship. A project is currently underway to write a biography of Mama Sobukwe and tell her own life story. And so there are a number of ways in which the Sobukwe family, the Pan-Africanist Congress of Azania, as well as ordinary citizens and civil society groups such as the Black House have been doing in honoring and celebrating Mama Sobukwe. And while she had remained silenced and ignored by the nation. And so I do certainly want to strongly say that this is an indictment on us all, the media, practitioners, academics, and so forth, as to why have we remained silent until now. And so those are my feelings about how we should honor Mama Sobukwe. And in honoring her, I would say that let us remain true to the principles that she valued: her humility, her humbleness, her lowliness. Mama Sobukwe, the ward that she was in Midlands Hospital, she was at a public hospital with about 7 other ordinary women from Graaff-Reinet. She was not in a private hospital in fences. Any member of of the public could access her. This was a humble, a generous, and very lowly mother of Azania, mother, of our nation. And so I do certainly think that in honoring her, let us be true and not give any artificial gestures and opportunistic gestures in celebrating her life.
Well, thank you very much to you, Thando, and to our guests in studio for coming in tonight and for honoring the memory of Mama Sobukwe. May her soul rest in peace. It is time now for a short break. We're back with more news after that, so do stay with us.